This is the first known instance of a pause in weapons supply out of the U.S. to Israel since October 7. How significant is it?
It is very, very significant. It's unusual and it's rare. So yesterday, the U.S. confirmed that it did pause this shipment to Israel and actually said that they are reviewing near-term consignments to Israel. This is a very stern warning to the Jewish state. And the U.S. is now using its leverage against Israel since the war. And this is a very rare instant in this long-standing relationship between the two. Now, these bombs that they are restricting are 2,000-pound bombs. They are very powerful and have been criticized by UN and a lot of humanitarian agencies about the use in Gaza. So this is part of the reason why the U.S. chose these types of bombs. Israel is playing down this kind of disagreement, saying this is just a rift between two allies and not saying this is impactful. Now, on the ground, this won't impact Israel's ability to go ahead with a full-scale offensive, and Israel is still very much adamant on doing that.
Yeah, well, I was reading one of the reports put out by a Bloomberg journalist saying that almost 70% of the military equipment in Israel is supplied by the U.S. You've got to think of the ramifications of the pause. But of course, the background to this, Dana, is that these truce deal discussions are still taking place, still attempted mediation between Israel and Hamas through Egypt, through Qatar, the U.S. getting involved as well. What are the latest developments in Rafah mean for the future of these truce talks, should they go ahead?
So as Israel is moving some people out of specific areas in Rafah and signaling it might go ahead with this invasion, the talks are still going on and they haven't stopped and they haven't collapsed. Although we saw yesterday Hamas, the delegation of Hamas going back to Qatar, maybe doing more deliberations, and we saw Israel going back and forth. So there is a lot of pressure to get a deal done, to have a ceasefire before Israel intends on going ahead with Rafah. Although for Israel, these two are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, well, you know, yesterday we were speaking to Paul Wallace, and I was saying that the fact that Israel have taken over the border crossing at Rafah is significant, but they've stopped short of a full ground offensive. And I wonder to what extent they're using that sort of as bargaining power to get Hamas to agree to the terms that Israel are putting forward.
Exactly. I would say that's so. I mean, over the weekend, we saw that Hamas fired rockets and killed 4 Israeli soldiers near a border crossing the Kerem Shalom. And then what Israel did is that they went ahead with this Rafah operation, the limited, very limited one, as they say. Yeah. And then we saw Hamas agreeing to a ceasefire. They're both trying to corner each other. This is more political than actual things on the ground. Yeah. But I don't know if it's working, but it has worked in a way that the negotiations are still going, and these warning signals are very, very worrying.